I'm just trying to get through a normal day in our quiet suburban neighborhood when this entitled jerk named Brad comes storming up, screaming that I've wrecked his precious BMW with a tiny scratch. But here's the kicker, he's not just mad, he's plotting to sue me for thousands, claiming massive damage that never happened. Oh. The rage boiled up inside me as I realized this wasn't an accident, it was a calculated scam. And I was about to turn the tables with some sweet karma. Let me take you back to that sweltering afternoon last summer. The air was thick with the smell of fresh-cut grass from the HOA-mandated lawn mowers buzzing like angry bees all around our cul-de-sac. I just pulled into the community parking lot after a long shift at the auto shop, yeah. Ironic. Right? My beat-up old pickup truck, faithful Rusty, had seen better days. But she got me where I needed to go. As I squeezed into a spot next to Brad's shiny black BMW. I swear I was careful. No bump. No scrape. Nothing. But as I hopped out, keys jingling in my pocket, I heard this sharp intake of breath behind me. A sigh so dramatic it could have won an Oscar. Turning around, there he was, Brad Harrington, the self-proclaimed king of our homeowners association. You know the type, mid-40s. Always in pressed khakis and a polo shirt that screamed, I own this place. His face was flushed red, veins popping on his forehead like lightning cracks in a storm cloud. What the hell did you do to my car? He bellowed, his voice echoing off the nearby houses. I blinked, confused. Excuse me? I shot back, my heart starting to pound like a drum in my chest. Up close, I could smell his overpriced cologne mixed with the faint tang of desperation. He jabbed a finger at a barely visible nick on his bumper. Honestly, it looked like it could have been from a shopping cart or even a bird dropping gone wrong. Brad didn't waste time. He whipped out his phone, snapping photos like a paparazzo on steroids. This is vandalism. Intentional damage. You're gonna pay for this. You blue-collar nobody. Ouch. That stung. Blue-collar nobody. I'd worked my butt off for years fixing cars just like his. And here he was, looking down his nose at me. The neighbors started peeking out from behind curtains, Mrs. Jenkins with her yappy dog. Old Mr. Patel watering his roses a bit too slowly. The tension hung in the air, thick and electric, like the pause before thunder rolls. Why me? I wondered, my stomach twisting into knots. I'd never even met this guy properly. Just seen him at HOA meetings where he'd rant about standards and fine people for silly things like mismatched mailbox colors. I tried to de-escalate. Look, man, I didn't touch your car. Maybe check the security cams. But Brad wasn't having it. He huffed a deep, exasperated sigh that made his chest heave. Security cams? Ha! You think you're smart? I'm calling my lawyer right now. And just like that, he dialed up some hotshot attorney, pacing back and forth on the asphalt that shimmered under the relentless sun. Sweat beaded on my brow. Not just from the heat but from the sheer audacity. How could one tiny scratch spiral into this? Little did I know, this was just the tip of the iceberg, an iceberg made of lies and fraud that would soon melt under the heat of truth. Fast forward a week, and bam, I'm served papers at my front door. The doorbell rang with that ominous ding-dong. And there stood a process server, clipboard in hand, looking as bored as if he did this every day. Alex Thompson, he asked, thrusting an envelope at me. My hands trembled as I opened it, the paper crisp and cold against my skin. Brad was suing me for $5,000 in damages, plus emotional distress. Emotional distress? From a scratch? I let out a bitter laugh that echoed in my empty hallway. The nerve! But as I read on, something didn't add up. The claim described extensive structural damage and even mentioned a dented frame. Wait. What? That nick was superficial at best. I knew cars inside out. That night, I couldn't sleep. The clock ticked relentlessly. Each second a reminder of the injustice gnawing at me. Tossing and turning. The sheets tangled around my legs like vines. I replayed the scene in my mind. The screech of brakes from passing cars outside. The distant hum of air conditioners, everything amplified my frustration. Why target me? Was it because I drove a truck instead of a luxury sedan? Or because I skipped those pretentious HOA barbecues? Anger surged through me. Hot and unrelenting. But then a spark of determination flickered. No way was I letting this slide. Time to dig deeper. I started with the basics. Called up my buddy Mike, a cop in the local precinct who'd grown up in the neighborhood. Over a cold beer at the corner pub, the kind with sticky floors and the faint aroma of fried onions, we hashed it out. Brad Harrington. Yeah. I've heard whispers, Mike said, leaning in with a knowing grin. His badge glinting under the dim lights. Guy's got a reputation for insurance claims. Multiple ones. All suspicious. My ears perked up like a dog's at the sound of a treat bag. Really? Like what? Mike sighed, rubbing his temples. Fender benders that magically turn into whiplash cases. Home repairs that balloon overnight. But nothing stuck, yet. That conversation lit a fire under me. The next day, fueled by black coffee that burned my tongue, I hit the public records office. The place smelled like old paper and dust, with fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like trapped flies. Hours of sifting through files. My eyes blurring from the fine print. And jackpot, I found Brad's insurance history. Claim after claim, stolen lawnmower that turned up in his garage. A flooded basement from a sprinkler mishap. Even a slip and fall at a store where witnesses said he staged it. My pulse raced as I photocopied everything. The machine whirring in rhythm with my growing excitement. But was this enough? Nah. I needed more. A twist that would seal the deal. Enter Sarah, the neighbor who'd been filming that day. I'd seen her out walking her golden retriever, Max, who always slobbered happily at my feet. Knocking on her door. The scent of baking cookies wafting out. I explained the situation. Oh. Honey. I got the whole thing on video, she said with a wink. Her voice warm like fresh-baked bread. We sat in her cozy living room, surrounded by family photos and the soft tick of a grandfather clock. Playing the footage on her phone. There it was, clear as day. Brad inspecting his car before I even parked. Then, wait for it, he subtly kicked his own bumper, creating the scratch himself. My jaw dropped. Holy crap. He staged it? Sarah nodded, her eyes wide. Yup. And get this, he's done it before. I overheard him bragging at the last HOA meeting about easy money from claims. The plot thickened like a bad thriller. Armed with the video and records, I lawyered up my cousin Lisa, a sharp attorney who'd eat sharks for breakfast. We met in her office. The air crisp with the smell of leather-bound books and determination. This is gold. Alex, she said, slamming her fist on the desk with a thud that echoed my resolve. Fraudulent claim. Intent to deceive, we're countersuing. But Brad wasn't going down without a fight. He amped up the pressure, spreading rumors in the neighborhood chat group. Alex is a reckless driver. Unsafe for our kids. Messages pinged on my phone like gunfire. Each one a stab of betrayal. How dare he? The community I'd called home for years now whispered behind my back. The weight of judgment heavy on my shoulders. Court day arrived like a storm cloud bursting. The courthouse smelled of polished wood and stale coffee. The benches creaking under nervous bodies. Brad strutted in. Suit tailored to perfection. A smug grin plastered on his face. His lawyer, a slick guy with gelled hair, painted me as the villain. My client suffered immense loss due to Mr. Thompson's negligence. But when our turn came, Lisa unleashed the evidence like a tidal wave. First, the public records. Gasps rippled through the room as the judge's gavel tapped for order. Then, Sarah's video projected on the screen. The scratch self-inflicted in high definition. Brad's face drained of color, turning ashen like a ghost. Objection, his lawyer yelped. But it was too late. The truth hung in the air, thick and undeniable. I took the stand, my voice steady despite the butterflies in my stomach. Your Honor, this isn't just about a scratch, it's about integrity. Brad's been scamming people for years, preying on honest folks like me. The courtroom fell silent, save for the software of the AC and Brad's audible gulp. Twist of all twists, during cross-examination, it came out that Brad was on the HOA board and had been using association funds to cover his personal legal fees. Embezzlement? The murmurs turned to outright shock. Is this true? The judge boomed, his voice like thunder. Brad stammered, sweat glistening on his brow. But the evidence was ironclad. In the end, the gavel came down with a resounding crack. Brad's suit dismissed. Countersuit granted. He had to pay my legal fees, plus restitution for the fraud, over $10,000. But the real kicker? The insurance company, tipped off anonymously, wink, investigated and dropped him like a hot potato. No more policies. Blacklisted. As he slunk out of the courthouse, head bowed, the neighborhood watched. Sarah high-fived me on the steps, Max barking joyfully. Justice served, she cheered. Walking home that evening, the sun dipping low and painting the sky in oranges and pinks, I breathed a deep sigh of relief. The air felt cleaner, the birds chirping sweeter. This ordeal taught me something profound: standing up to bullies, even entitled jerks like Brad, isn't just about winning, it's about restoring balance. Karma doesn't always hit immediately, but when it does, oh boy, it's poetic. If you're facing a Karen in your life, whether man or woman, remember, gather your facts, stay calm, and let truth be your weapon. You might just expose the fraud and inspire others to do the same. What a ride, right? Stay strong out there.